and answer questions from our audience.
The final fortnight in an election that keeps going in one direction. 4 party leaders facing the voters of York. But the growing Tory betting scandal means an awkward backdrop for just one of them. The audience demand answers from Rishi Sunak.
Aren't these emerging allegations about betting on the election date the absolute epitome of the lack of ethics that we have had to tolerate from the Conservative Party for years and years?
Well, like you, I was incredibly angry to learn of these allegations. It's a really serious matter. I want to be crystal clear that if anyone has broken the rules, they should face the full force of the law.
These are party candidates, but you're happy not to suspend them, to let them carry on and go on to the election.
What I can tell you is if anyone is found to have broken the rules, not only should they face the full consequences of the law, I will make sure that they are booted out of the Conservative Party.
The Prime Minister asked to account not just for what has happened under his government, but the turmoil under his predecessors as well.
We've had 5 Prime Ministers in the last 7 years, and one of them managed to last for 6 weeks. As a result, I think we are something of an international laughingstock. I'm asking if you would confess to us tonight, even just a small amount of embarrassment, to be leading the Conservative Party into this election campaign.
You may remember I spent the summer before that arguing against the policies that my predecessor had suggested were right. I didn't think they were right for the country, and I said so. But what I'd ask you to do is judge me on my 18 months that I've been in office.
A week on, and the man in pole position for number 10 in this election still facing the same question on why he said Jeremy Corbyn would be a good Prime Minister. But now, a new answer.
Look, he would be a better Prime Minister. Well, look what we got, Boris Johnson. A man who made massive promises, didn't keep them.
Changing his mind was a theme the audience kept coming back to.
You criticise your MP, Rosie Duffield, for saying only women have a cervix. You recently backtracked on this. What do you believe now?
Well, look, on the biology, I agree with what Tony Blair said the other day in relation to men having penises and women having vaginas. But what I will say is...
So you changed your position?
Just on the biology, that doesn't help on the gender. There are some people who don't identify with the gender that they're born into. And they go through a lot of anxiety and distress. And my view in life is to respect and give dignity to everyone, whatever their position.
This man may be riding high in the polls, but the Liberal Democrat leader confronted time and again about his record in government.
Isn't the problem, though, Ed, that you've got a credibility issue? We all remember the broken promise on tuition fees. You enabled Cameron and Osborne's austerity. So I don't think people are going to be convinced by what you're saying he'll do now.
Well, listen, those were... I have to say it was very difficult governing with the Conservatives. We couldn't get everything we wanted. But we were faced with a choice as a minister. You either had to stay in and fight inside the government or leave. Look, I'm not proud of some of the votes we did, Fiona. I'm not proud of them.
All right.
And I want to overturn them. And a lot of our policies are changing some of the things that we had to agree to back then.
The SNP leader also having to account for the recent failings of his party.
It has been a turbulent time, and I'd be the first to accept that and to admit that. It's my primary duty as First Minister of Scotland to make sure that we change lives and to improve lives of people in Scotland. And I've set that programme out by establishing a focus on eradicating child poverty, on achieving the transition to net zero, on strengthening the Scottish economy and improving our public services. And by doing that, I hope to rebuild the trust of people in Scotland, which I accept the SNP has got to earn on a constant basis.
Elections determine the future, but this audience wanted each man to talk about failings in the past, watching with a sceptical eye. Do they and the nation beyond believe what they hear? Sam Coates, Sky News, York.